morning. This is Livestream. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz with another edition. Today we're listening in to a press conference from US Travel this morning, introducing their Let's Go There campaign. They also call it Let's Meet There or Let's Go There Soon. Apparently it's not about promoting travel at this point, but get people excited. What they say would create well-being and happiness to travel. US Travel also said they're against any type of quarantine measurements. eTurbo News was trying to ask a question about this, but we're unable to do this. But listen to the podcast and you get the input what US Travel in the industry is doing to relaunch travel in the United States.
This session is fully on the record. All supporting materials can be found on letsgothere.travel. I will now turn the call over to Roger Dow, President and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association. Roger, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Greg, and most of all, thank you, all of you, for joining us. We're pleased to introduce to you the Let's Go There initiative. This is a new effort. It's a result of actually months of work by a coalition of more than 75 major travel organizations and companies, all working together. Today, we're joined by 4 people who've been crucial to the effort. Jill Estorino with Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products. Brian King with Marriott International. They're both co-chairs of the Let's Go There coalition. And Michelle Geelan. Michelle's founder of the Institute for Applied Positive Research, and Carolyn Potato with Visit California. We're hearing from each of them in just a few minutes, but first a little background on the Let's Go There initiative. Let's Go There is really an answer to the question of how does the travel industry re-engage with America, who really miss traveling in this current and very challenging environment. The first thing was we really had to work on making sure that we have a safe and healthy environment to restart travel, which is critically important, not only for what we do as an industry, but also for travelers. The Let's Go There message is asking America to begin thinking about and planning to travel at future dates. Well, before the Let's Go There campaign, the industry, as I say, established rigorous health and safety protocols to help contain the spread of COVID. We worked with the guidance of many medical professionals and aligned with the CDC. We set out to clearly communicate the importance of health and safety travel to employees and guests, along with every step along the traveler's journey. Next, we're talking about is how to have a conversation with America who wants to travel, and foremost, that has not been able to travel in the past few months. So these 75 organizations came together and created this collaborative effort. It's the biggest industry-wide collaborative effort that I could think of since September 11th. And September 11th, we did a similar thing as an industry. It was called Go USA, to really start Americans traveling again, which was very successful. So now I'd like to turn it over to Jill Estorino, who's President and Managing Director for Disney Resorts, Experiences, and Products. Jill, it's all yours. She'll introduce the campaign.
Thank you, Roger, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of this coalition. Travel creates experiences that simply cannot be replaced, and we want everyone to know that the industry is ready to welcome you back whenever you are ready to travel again. The goal of the Let's Go There campaign is to inspire Americans and give them permission to start making future plans. Research has shown that simply looking forward to a trip can have a profoundly positive impact on our outlook and well-being. At the same time, our messaging is sensitive to the moment we're in and understands that not everyone is comfortable with the idea of travel right now. And while travel may look a little different today, our positioning is hopeful for the future, encouraging people to look ahead to their next journey, whenever that may be, and to experiencing the wonder, joy, and even magic that only travel can offer. Shortly, you'll hear from Michelle about new research that aligns with previous academic studies on the benefits that planning travel can provide. I'd like to thank our partners at the firm Dentsu McGarry Bowen for their incredible collaboration on the creative development for this campaign, and to Publicis Media on the media planning. Together, we've developed a powerful storyline that will become the template for the entire industry and customized to each of our individual brands. In fact, we've created a beautiful film that perfectly captures the tone and sentiments of this campaign, and I'd love to show it to you now. With that, I'll ask our Zoom operators to roll the video.
Someone once said, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. So let's go there. Let's make some plans. Let's feel that feeling once again as you search and imagine that perfect getaway. Because when the time is right, when the heart says go, we'll be ready. So let's book a trip. Let's aim for the horizon and shoot for the moon. Let's go there.
Well, thank you, Jill. Thanks. First of all, thanks for all the hard work you and Disney and your colleagues and everyone in the industry has put on this. I think it's a beautiful campaign that everyone has put together. And now it's my pleasure to introduce somebody, a job I wish I had, a happiness researcher, Michelle Gielan, to talk about the deeper meaning behind the findings of what really led to this campaign. Michelle?
Thanks, Roger. It is so wonderful to get the opportunity to share the research that we've done, especially because as a happiness researcher, it's saddened me for the past 6 months to see the numbers coming out about people's levels of happiness. We're actually seeing the lowest levels of happiness in 50 years, which is how long we've been recording this. So I'm so thankful to all of you for your interest in this story. And as a researcher who looks for those tools that we can all use to create our happiness, I'm grateful to get to partner with you to disseminate the information we've been able to uncover. So historically, we've known that planning travel can have, create a bump in our happiness. But the question was, what about during the pandemic? I began my research more than a decade ago, looking at the connection between a positive mindset and success, predominantly in the work domain. We've found that travel can actually have an incredible impact. If you take 11 or more vacation days, this is a study that we did for Project Time Off, you actually have a 30% higher likelihood of returning and then over the next year at work, getting a promotion or a raise. The question was, what about the influence of planning travel on our happiness amidst all this uncertainty that we've been experiencing? So when the Let's Go There Coalition approached me to do an independent study, and it was something that had already been on my mind, and so I was thrilled to get this opportunity. And so the headline is that planning travel does have a significant impact on our happiness. And so if we can take a look at some of the visuals that we prepared, I can share with you some of the data. So specifically, we found that 97% of people say that having a trip planned makes them significantly happier. And 82% say that a book trip makes them moderately or significantly happier. 71% say they have more energy knowing they have a trip planned. So as you can see, these are rather robust numbers. If you were to ask me, is this surprising? I would say, so interestingly, yes and no. Yes, it follows, yes, it is surprising because the numbers are so large, right? I didn't expect such a robust response. No, in that it does follow along previous research in two specific domains. Anticipatory savoring is an incredible driver of happiness, and travel taps into that. When we have a trip, even on the calendar, we start talking to our friends and family about it. We get new gear, we imagine what we're gonna do on the trip, we book special experiences. And so ahead of that trip, before we've even left home, we're reaping some happiness benefits. And then additionally, having something on the calendar is really good amidst all the uncertainty we've been experiencing because it's something that feels much more certain, right? So we have this sort of end goal and it allows our brain to wrap around that, giving us a sense of calm. And so if we look at the other side, we also saw that respondents really felt that having that on the calendar was good for them. So much so that they said that simply knowing there was something to look forward to would bring them joy. 95% agreed with that statement. Planning travel for sometime in the next 6 months would bring me happiness. 80% agreed with that. 74% said planning something would make me feel more in control amidst so much uncertainty. And lastly, getting to travel and feeling safe while doing it would bring me peace of mind. That was nearly everybody, 96%. We designed this research through the Institute for Applied Positive Research. We fielded it online August 24th, 1st through 24th, and it went out to 263 adults, all living in the US. We decided to field it through social media to find people who are really going to offer their thoughts and engage authentically with the survey as opposed to paid respondents. And we found it really interestingly just a rather even distribution among regions in the US. And so I think this adds on to the decade of research we've seen out of the field of positive psychology that shows that when we are more positive, when we have something to look forward to, when we can dream about something coming up, that fuels our happiness. And so, as I said, it was just amazing to see how large those numbers were. So if anyone has any questions during the Q&A, I'm happy to address anything about the survey in particular. Oh, and Roger, you're muted.
There we are.
You're unmuted now.
Okay. I want to thank you, Michelle. Now, I don't know if you put that rocket behind you because we're launching the campaign today.
Oh.
Very appropriate for a happiness expert. Now I'd like, and as I said, Michelle will be available to answer questions during the question and answer period. But now I'd like to turn it over to Brian King, Global Officer with Marriott International, for further perspective. Brian?
Great. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Michelle and Jill. It is wonderful to be with all of you today. As a matter of fact, I am coming to you live from the beautiful JW Marriott in Desert Ridge. And you can see we have some guests in the resort pool enjoying themselves today. So it's a great day here. In addition to talking about the benefits that travel can generate emotionally, or just the very thought of planning for travel, it's so important that we reinforce this message. When the customer is ready to travel, we are ready to serve them. As Roger mentioned early in this call today, safety, health, and hygiene are the utmost of importance across the industry and the entire travel journey for our guests, as well as all the employees who work across our industries. The goal of the campaign is obviously to generate interest and to get consumers in the mindset once again to think about planning travel, but only when they're ready to do so. You know, I think the messaging strategy carefully balances the need to emotionally inspire our wanderlust, that emotional need, but the rational need to make sure that it is safe to travel when they're ready to do so. Our goal is to have them look and book forward into the future. Now, what you've heard from many of my colleagues is we really miss our guests. And I'll tell you, being at the resort this weekend and being able to see people have so much joy in a safe manner was really, it warmed my heart. I do have immense optimism that there will be a strong return to our industry, and people are willing, when the time is right, to open that front door and see the world again. Currently today, we know there is this kind of yearning for togetherness. People are looking for a change of scenery. Instead of zooming on a vacation, you can't really need to do that. You need to go there. But it highlights kind of that emotional thrust we all have to get out and see the world again. So when consumers turn that wanderlust, that emotional desire, into travel plans, if you think about the host of dream destinations we have across the United States, it's a magical place to be. So the most important thing, again, is health and safety, as we mentioned before. And each of our individual industries have taken all the precautions aligned with the CDC to make sure that that happens. So our message is clear. When consumers are ready to travel, we are ready to host them. So now is also a great time for travel planning, looking for amazing destinations, doing research online, because deals are amazing, as well as very light cancellation or change policies. It's a really good time for people to be booking and looking in the future when it comes to travel. So thanks so much. I look forward to answering any questions you have, and I'll turn it back over to Roger.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you, Jill, for being co-chairs of this campaign and all the hard work you put in. Really appreciate it. Our final panelist brings a slightly different perspective. Is the head of an agency that markets one of America's top travel destinations, the state of California. She is one of the top marketing leaders in our industry and a longtime friend, President and CEO of Visit California, Carolyn Potato. Carolyn?
Oh, thanks, Roger. Well, you've heard from many of our panelists today that having a trip to look forward to is a much needed reminder that better days are ahead. And this campaign just is asking people to do just that. Just start thinking about the future of travel planning within your respective households. You know, while California and other great destinations around the country will be there when visitors are ready, not everyone or every destination is 100% open to travel right now. But really reaching out to all of us here and encouraging people to just put a mark on their calendar, start thinking about the future, and get them excited about travel. That's really what this campaign's all about. And I think Brian said it best, just start planning. You can book a trip. The industry, many of you that are on this panel, as well as the industry at large, are really willing and able and look forward to receiving you as guests in the future when the time is right. And I just want to shift because I really want to emphasize the importance that every hotel room booked or restaurant table reserved means people in these communities are actually getting back to work. So it's a great modern day act of patriotism of the excitement you get looking forward to a trip, but really helping us all just getting these communities back and thriving. As a matter of fact, nationwide, about 1/3 of travel supported jobs have been lost. And in California alone, more than 600,000 hospitality workers are out of a job right now. So the Let's Go There campaign is about supporting businesses, workers, your good health, as Michelle talked about, and of course, just all of us together. Fortunately, travel has been one of the most resilient sectors of the economy. And getting people just to think about travel and the inspiration we hope that the Let's Go There campaign does will help prepare all of us for when travel is able to broadly restart in the future. But it's important we do that smartly, of course. And that's why there are variants of this campaign message. In addition to Let's Go There, there's also Let's Go There Soon, created for regions that are not fully able to welcome visitors yet, but obviously in the very near future. So it's a perfect pairing, for example, for us in California with our new responsible travel code that urges people to travel safely and respect the communities they visit as well. No matter what, dreaming and planning your next trip is one of the most powerful things you can do. And Michelle definitely put a finer point on that. It'll improve your health and the health of communities across the nation. They're waiting and they look forward to receiving you very soon. Roger, I'll hand it back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Carolyn, and thanks to every one of our panelists. We're going to open up in a minute for questions. But first, I'd like to introduce someone who's joining us, Tori Barnes. Tori is U.S. Travel's EVP for Public Affairs and Policy, and she's overseeing the work of the Let's Go There campaign from a staff level. And she's also responsible for our legislative actions, which are very important to go hand in hand with this campaign because Congress is critical to getting America traveling and back again. So everyone's available for questions. So operator, if you'll open it up, we'll take your questions.
Thank you, Roger. If you would like to ask a question, please find the raise your hand button that should be visible at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Our panelists will take questions specific to the Let's Go There campaign. I will introduce you by name and affiliation, and then your mic will be unmuted for one question and one follow-up. So there will be a brief pause while we await our first questions. Thank you. Okay, our first question is from James Schillinglaw with the Insider Travel Report. James, your line is open.
Yes, hello to all of you. This question is for Roger, Tori, and anybody else who wants to answer. This is a very laudable campaign to generate interest in future travel. As you know, however, is that the U.S. is sort of plagued, as is some of the rest of the world, by states and countries that have introduced quarantine policies. And that is really preventing a lot of people from going anywhere right now. I know, Carolyn, California has a quarantine. I don't know if they have a quarantine, but certainly New York has a quarantine against California, and New York has a quarantine against almost everybody, about 30 states right now. How do we solve this? And because I'm not sure I see an end to this quarantine policy, certainly from my state, New York State.
Well, James, I'll start, but I'll let Tori, our expert, chime in. We are not in favor of quarantine policies. We think it's got to be safe and effective travel, all the guidelines in place. It's got to be mutual responsibility. You're talking to me today, James, from Florida, and Florida is one of those states that's quarantined from quite a few other states. And I want to travel and have been traveling, but I want to travel to those other states. I'm thinking of the travel season coming on in the fall with fall foliage, and the states that have quarantines in New York, Connecticut, New England. What an opportunity they may be missing of people who want to travel safely in their cars and travel and see the beautiful fall foliage. So I think that has to open up, and open up responsibly, of course. Tori, any additional thoughts?
Sure. I think I would just add that this campaign really takes the long view of travel and really wants folks to think about travel planning. And I'm sure that elected officials across this country, in especially where there are quarantines, want jobs to come back, want the economy in their states to grow, and hopefully they'll understand that just giving folks the happiness that comes, as Michelle noted, with planning a trip and ultimately being able to go out and travel is important. As well, we're thinking about this in the context of different regions and different states opening in different ways. So, if you can't travel from New York to California, then consider traveling throughout your own state. And that's really important as we contemplate that planning process.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Is the U.S. Travel Association doing anything to lobby individual states, such as New York, to reconsider some of these policies? Because they really are, we all thought domestic travel would be coming back first. But these policies, whether they're enforced or not, that's a good question too, are really hampering and could hamper for some time. It might just, we're talking about planning for the future, but maybe we're, for this campaign, we're talking about 2021, not this year. So is there any lobbying effort taking place in certain states?
As Roger mentioned, we are not supportive of the quarantines per se. We are very, very supportive of folks practicing very much health and safety guidance, of wearing masks, of socially distanced where they can, of considering outdoor locations for their travel experiences. But also, I think, what we've said in the media, what we'll continue to say is that from an economic recovery standpoint, we need states to consider lifting their quarantines. That's one of the reasons why we've been a huge proponent of rapid, reliable testing, so that we can have that as a means to help give more confidence to folks that they are around folks that are also COVID-free.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question comes from Irina Ivanova of CBS Money Watch. Irina, your line is open.
Hi, thank you everyone for having this. I have a question to the whole panel regarding the TSA numbers that came out over the Labor Day weekend. So air travel is at its highest level, I think, since March, and yet we're still down 50% from this time last year. I'd love to get your reaction to that, and what does that mean for the recovery of travel overall?
Okay, Irina, I will jump in and I'll let my colleagues jump in. I've been traveling quite a bit, 3, 4, 5 trips in the past 2 months, and I'm very impressed with what the airlines are doing, what the airports are doing. I was speaking to Ed Bastian, who's head of Delta, and he made a comment. He said, if air travel is so dangerous, Roger, why aren't my flight attendants sick? We have a very low incidence because of all the air cleaning they're doing. So I think the more people experience it, each one of my neighbors asks me when I come back, how was the trip? And I relate to them how everything was in great shape, how the airlines and airports and hotels are taking great steps to make sure that it's health and safety. So I think we've got to take it one at a time, and we're very encouraged by the TSA numbers. And if my other panelists have some thoughts on that, please join in.
Yeah, I can tell you from a lodging perspective, we've seen week after week steady growth in occupancy for the industry, which to Roger's point is people are putting their toe in the water and trying it. And I think when they have the experience, they realize that all the safety precautions that we talk about are actually being executed. So again, the hotel that I'm staying at this weekend, everyone has masks, there's distant tables in the restaurants. The hotel is capped capacity by 50% to make sure nothing's overcrowded. So the TSA numbers are encouraging, but we have a long way to go to reach the occupants we had last year. So we have a climb, but the capacity is appropriate based on the safety guidelines that we have today.
I was just going to mention, coming off of Brian's comments, that we're seeing a rise in consumer confidence and sentiment as people start to move outside their households, just because of the clean and safe protocols that all of our companies and our destinations are deploying to keep visitors safe. So as people have good experiences, then they'll start to move further and further outside of their region or their household or their county or even their state in the future. And our numbers are starting to reflect that. So we may not get back to 2019 numbers for a couple years, but definitely we're starting to see that incremental positivity in growth for the future.
Yeah, I'll just build from a Disney perspective on Carolyn's point. We're seeing that our guest satisfaction levels at our theme parks are on par with the pre-COVID time period. So yes, all the experiences are not there and people miss things like our parades and fireworks, but overall, we're getting great accolades for our safety protocols, and people are having a magical experience similar to what they did pre-COVID.
My colleagues have made some very good comments on sentiment, and this campaign, as I say, we've been working on for months, and we want to be very cautious about when we launch the campaign. We first thought we might launch it a little earlier in July or August, but we didn't want to be tone deaf. So we're listening, and now we're watching these sentiments improve, and we thought now is the right time to launch this campaign to begin thinking about travel.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. And our next question will come from Lauren Edelstein of the North Star Media Group. Lauren, your line is open.
Hi, thank you very much. My question is that this campaign clearly targets leisure travel and vacationers. Do you have any plans, and maybe this comes afterwards, to take this type of a message to the business community and to groups? Because there's a lot of restrictions and a lot of caution on that side that should, that seems to be lasting for a while. So is there a plan to take that message to that community?
Lauren, I'll grab that. Yes, there is. Leisure, because that's what's open and people are doing, and where the sentiment is where we're beginning. The campaign is going to be on this month, and then we're going to go dark prior to the election, because competing with all that noise would be very difficult. And we're hopeful when we come back to late fall, and that our campaign will also shift to let's meet there. And so we're working also on meetings, conventions at the right time, but yes, that will be included down the road.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Dan Reed of Forbes magazine. Dan, your line is open.
Thank you. As a housekeeping thing, do you guys have a list of the 70 plus companies? Because your leagues only has about 20. And can we get that? Just as a housekeeping matter.
Yeah, Dan, it's on the it's on our website, but we're happy to share that with you as well. Okay.
We are now moving into month 7 of the nation reacting to COVID. This is the first concerted effort by different elements within the industry, heck, between different, competitors within the same sub-industries, hotels, airlines, whatever, to create a message. Why is it taken 7 months to come up with a message saying we're clean and safe? Because that's what you've been doing individually, but sending different and confusing messages. It's taken a long time for you guys to react. Why?
Actually, Dan, we started in May with working with health and safety experts, medical experts, CDC, and putting together industry-wide guidance on health and safety measures. H&LA picked them up with their Stay Safe, Restaurant Association doing their same thing, and the airlines. What is coming along is more and more consistency, which I think is very critical. But we work very hard on, and mostly through owned media and through PR, to get the word out. And we thought until we were communicating to the public what the industry is doing and what they must be doing mutually, we couldn't do this campaign. But we've been working on that quite a bit. If it hasn't come out loud enough, shame on us, and we've got it. But that's our job number 1: health and safety, then travel.
Well, it hasn't. I can tell you, it hasn't come through loudly enough, because this is the first I've seen.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
and
that.
Secondly, why, when people are scared out of their minds, maybe irrationally, but they're scared out of their minds to get on board an airplane, which may be a fairly safe place to be vis-a-vis a grocery store, or for that matter, a hotel room or whatever. Why do you come out with a message saying this will make you feel better? I mean, that seems pretty weak.
Well, the message is based on research. All the research and sentiment we're watching is going up. Over 50% of the people in America say they're ready to travel in the next couple of months. And we're talking to those people. And as Brian King, and I'll let him jump in a minute, is saying, we're also now talking to that next group who's considering and thinking. Brian,
well,
your
research also says they still won't plan until there's a vaccine.
That is probably for 25 to 40%. But those people that TSA is reporting that are on planes are traveling, and there is no vaccine yet. Brian?
Yeah, I think obviously we're seeing week over week growth where people are beginning to travel. There will be a group of individuals, because they're high risk or they just emotionally can't see themselves stepping out of their door. We realize that. And there is no attempt to try to push people out of their homes by any means whatsoever. When you're comfortable, whether that's before or when a vaccine will be ready for you, is really the message. But you are seeing, as people travel, they're telling their friends and family, wow, I did a short flight. It was an hour. It was great. There was no TSA line. The airplane was spotless. The hotels had, check-in was easy. I did it on my phone. Everyone was in a mask. The room had been sealed and cleaned. So I think word of mouth is really our best promotion in general. So once we inspire people to book something and they try it, we're finding that they do like it in general, and they're telling their friends about it. So, and just this whole sense of having something to look forward to, we've been in idle, like a car in idle right now. And now when I get something booked, even though it might be 4 months away, maybe the vaccine's 6, I have no idea. At least I put that on the books, and I have something that's joyful to look forward to. That's just really important to folks, their emotional well-being.
I think it's important to iterate that this campaign isn't talking about go now. Everything you've heard from all of us today and the coalition is about thinking about the long term and the future, and let's make a plan as opposed to go now.
Thank you. We have 2 final questions in the queue. The next question will come from Robert McCune of Hotel News Now. Robert, your line is open.
Thank you all for doing this. I appreciate all of your time, and I think the messaging is very important. Thanks also for taking my question. Obviously, it seems like at least the campaign currently is focused on inspiring the Americans to travel within the U.S. And of course, we're seeing some of that already happening to some degree. Certainly, you want to see more of that happen. But is there a future stage of this campaign also that will be targeted at bringing some of those international visitors back to the U.S.? And what are some of the particular challenges that you see with that part of it?
I'll start and I'll turn it over to Tori. First, yes, international travel is extremely important. It's $250 billion. We love the international traveler. They stay 14 to 16 days, spend $4,500 per person. We think we're going to begin seeing that open up in the coming months. There's a lot of talk going on with what they call bubble flights between perhaps London and New York, London and Washington, flights to LA, and get that open up. And it's going to be important to have that open up because international travel is so important to not only our industry, but to the global economy. Tori has an international working group going on right now parallel to this. And Tori, you may want to comment on that a bit.
I'm sure. There are a lot of conversations going on from an interagency process within the government, looking at ways that we will be able to ultimately reopen international travel. It's obviously a significant priority for the industry and in particular aviation, but for all of us collectively and more broadly. And as Roger noted, there are some pilot programs that are being discussed. A lot of this does go back to a couple of other issues, and primarily what I noted before, which is testing. We need that rapid, reliable testing in a broad stroke, and we need to make sure that we can work on some of the reciprocity issues with other governments. And so those conversations, again, are starting to happen, and we're hoping that once they move in a more robust fashion, we'll see Brand USA, which is the domestic, or I'm sorry, the international arm that will help to bring international travelers back to the U.S. Again, a lot of work being done from an interagency perspective, and absolutely a priority. But we need to get the folks domestically contemplating travel and planning. And again, that's what this campaign seeks to do, is remind folks of the anticipation and joy that comes with planning travel and starting here in the United States.
Great, thank you.
Our final question comes from Todd McElwee of USAE News. Todd, your line is open.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for taking my question. Looking over the list I saw on the toolkit of all the 75 members, I was curious if the coalition was opened up to other members of the industry that declined to join, or if other members are invited to join. Like I noticed, a fair amount of major destinations, some airlines, some industry organizations, which are not part of the coalition. And I was just curious that they were not asked to join, declined, or if it is still free for other CVBs, associations, companies to sign on.
Good question, Todd. In putting this together, we started out with the fundraising effort and going to so many of the major brands. You got the Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, Lowe's, American Airlines, Delta, United, American Express, Visa, Enterprise, Pepsi-Cola, Sabre, and all that. And many states like Visit California, cities like Las Vegas, states like South Dakota are coming in, and it's wide open to others. This is a campaign that's not for 2 weeks from now. It's for multiple months from now. So we're opened up and people are coming on every day. It's just we haven't had the chance to get to each one. But no, it's wide open, and many, many other destinations and companies. There's no one who has said, lousy idea, don't do it. It's just a matter of getting through in their organization and them coming on board. But they're coming on board, and we expect many more to be part of the coalition. It's just these initial 75 are who we launched with.
If I could follow up very quickly, as this campaign evolves, will there be targeted marketing for specific organizations such as Visit California or Lowe's Hotels, or is it just an industry-wide effort?
The one thing that's the whole campaign is, I mentioned at the start of the press conference that we followed what we did in 9/11 on getting the Go USA campaign going. And the industry is so much further along than it was 19 years ago with its owned media, frequency programs, the databases, all the social media that's available. And you're going to see much more of that come into play. And the campaign is also designed, if you go on our website, there's a toolkit where Visit California can customize the message for them, South Dakota for them, American Airlines for them, and on and on. So it's very customizable. The commercials that you saw, the one was a 60-second, but there's a 90, a 60, a 30, a 15, even a 6-second commercial with lots of print capability that the industry will begin now customizing on their own. So you'll begin seeing this. I just saw today that Philadelphia has come out with a whole campaign around let's go there, let's go to Philadelphia. And so you'll see much more of customization, and we invite people to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much all for joining the Let's Go There Coalition's Rollout Media Teleconference. Quick reminder for you that the video films for Let's Go There are
Thank you for joining us today at livestream.travel. You can read more on eTober News, and we hope to see you again next time. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, reporting to you from Honolulu, Hawaii.